All right, and I think we're live because I just hit the button. What is going on, everybody? It's Randall Thor 19 back again with another podcast, the Xbox 2, back after 1 week hiatus. Hope everybody is having a great day. And with me, as always, my co-host, Jez Corden of Windows Central. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, pal. Pretty good. How are you? How are you?
I'm pretty good, man. I'm pretty good. We didn't do the show last week. It was entirely my fault. You want to tell the people why?
You were asleep. You screwed up your sleep cycle because you stayed up all night reviewing Gears of War.
Yeah,
Gears 5.
I had screwed up my sleep cycle so bad. I waited till the last minute to put together my Gears 5 review, which I believe took me about 5 or 6 hours to make. And I just didn't go to sleep, so I was up for like a super long time. And then when the podcast came around, which was like the next day, I just couldn't make it. So we basically couldn't do it because of me. So it was my fault. I apologize to everybody out there. It was me, but
We
everything's
forgive you.
yeah. But I fixed my sleep schedule. Everything's good. I had to stay up for 30 hours to do it. I hate when that happens, but it's fixed. But other than that, man, it was I went and I saw It Chapter 2.
How was that? No spoilers.
No, I won't spoil you. I won't spoil you whatsoever. So I've been waiting for It Chapter 2 ever since the last movie. I'm a big Stephen King fan, and It is one of my favorite like novels ever, right? And It Chapter 1 was phenomenal. I would give that movie like a 9 out of 10. It was great. Because obviously the kid stuff in It Chapter 1 is the highlight of not only the book, but the movie. So I was a little bit worried when they were going to go do the adult stuff, because the adult stuff is the weakest part of not only the book, but also the TV miniseries, right? So I was okay. I went there.
What about the original movie?
The TV miniseries?
Was that a TV miniseries?
Yes,
I thought it was a movie.
it was a TV miniseries, yep.
Oh, wow. Shows what I know.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, I went there, I think Thursday, like at 7 o'clock or whatever. And 3-hour movie. That's right. 3 hours long.
3-hour horror movie?
Yeah. 3-hour horror movie.
That's impressive.
Yes. And I liked it, but it's not as good as the first movie.
Oh, wow.
So, it's better than obviously the TV miniseries where they dealt with the adult stuff. It's just not as good as the first movie. And I would only really recommend go to check it out if, you are a fan of it and want to kind of get conclusion about what happens with everybody. But yeah, I went to the show and I saw that. And then I also watched a couple other movies. I watched Godzilla, the new Godzilla movie, because it finally was available to rent.
Oh, King of Monsters.
King of Monsters, yeah, it was pretty cool.
It's so weird that you say that, because I've been watching this Godzilla anime on Netflix, and I randomly decided to get into Godzilla after playing so much Monster Hunter. I was like, I need more monsters in my life. So I thought, you know what? And I tweeted it out yesterday. I was like, is that new Godzilla movie any good? So, Rand, tell us, are the new Godzilla movies any good?
Well, okay, so the one that came out 5 years ago was with Bryan Cranston. I don't think it was very good, because Godzilla's barely in the movie. But they definitely heard the critiques, because Godzilla's in this movie a lot, and there's a lot of monster fighting. So if you want to watch Godzilla and monsters fight, they got Ghidorah and Rodan and Mothra and a whole bunch of other monsters, and this is the one for you. But the movie looked gorgeous.
I'm gonna check it out. Do you need to watch the first one first?
Nah, you don't need to watch the first one. And then I watched John Wick last night, which was great, as the John Wick's movies are.
I've never seen any of those.
You need to watch that. And I already look. Somebody in the chat's already saying, "Move on to gaming talk, please." Come on, Eddie Brock. The whole podcast is about gaming. Jez asked me how my week went, and I'm just telling him, man. I saw some movies, dude. This podcast is whatever we want it to be. So,
But it will never be about fashion tips.
No, no, definitely not. Definitely not fashion tips. So, other than that, just been playing a bunch of video games. How's your week been? Your week pretty good?
Yeah, man. I can't complain. Just been. I had Monday and Tuesday off, literally to play Monster Hunter. So I just been spamming that really, and then did a bit of work the last couple of days, but mostly just monster hunting, man.
Yeah.
It's all about
Shout
that
out
monster
to
hunting.
Spider Man in the chat. He hit us up with the super chat. Appreciate the support, brother. He says loves this show. There are rumors of a new Splinter Cell. I believe it when I see it. If they turn Sam Fisher into mobile, I'll boycott Ubisoft. I mean, they are bringing Sam Fisher back. They've talked about it relentlessly. It does sound like it probably be some mobile stuff. There were the memes going around when Apple announced their new phone because it had like the 3 camera things. Like I saw like
Yeah, I saw
Alana
that.
Pierce like was like, oh, Splinter Cell or whatever. So yeah, um, I want a new Splinter Cell. We'll see if it actually happens though. But shout out to everybody in the chat.
On mobile phones, right?
No, I want one on the Xbox and PlayStation. I don't want a mobile phone one. You know what I mean? Not at
What about
all.
the Switch?
Screw the
Leaving
Switch.
it.
Screw the Switch.
Ah, Rand, you can't say that in
Screw the Switch.
2019.
Yeah, I know, right? Turn people off. Screw the Switch. But yeah, just want to take some time and shout out everybody out in the chat. We got Cold Eastwood, the naughty dog of YouTube. We got Gunstar, we got Miles, we got Cotton, we got Kritztopsy, Fly Fletch. Who else do I see in here? Devin, DJ Singh. Shout out to all you guys for dropping by. I really appreciate you guys being here. Make sure you hit the like button and share this podcast out if you're enjoying it and if you want more people to show up, discover the greatness that is Jez Corden, right? Am I right? What's up, Epsi Violent and Dreadpool? How you guys doing? And hey, there's Lovebug Gopher, my buddy. Anyways, yeah, I shouldn't really say the Switch, not the Switch, because I actually do want to play Astral Chain.
Oh yeah, I saw that bit. I might get that in sale, maybe.
Yeah, Gopher's been trying to convince me to
It
get
did
it.
pretty well. It did pretty well in the physical sales charts, although that's never really a hard indication anymore without digital sales. But it did pretty well.
Yeah. Platinum Games seems pretty. They seem to make pretty good games. As long as they're not working with Microsoft on something.
Oh, we don't talk about that, right?
We don't talk about that.
We don't go there. We don't go there anymore, right?
It's like, they can make great games with any publisher, it seems, except for Microsoft.
Yeah. Ooh, it's a bit of a teeth dryer, isn't it? Like, ooh.
Ugh. Yeah. So.
Anyway.
I figure we'll jump into the games talk, but, just to give you a taste of what we're going to talking about, it's going to be a lot of Gears 5 talk. I mean, our thoughts on the game, how basically it brought Xbox Live down to its knees, all the server problems, the Borderlands 3 review drama, Death Stranding. There's a whole bunch of stuff we want to talk about. So before we get into that, though, Jez, what have you been playing besides Gears 5? And I already know what it is. But go ahead, tell the people.
Monster Hunter World Iceborne. And I'm not going to go into it too much because honestly, it's just more of the same, really. But like elevated. Like the story's a bit better, the graphics are all a bit better, all the combat's a bit better because they added new combos, they added tons of new weapons. They just basically released a sequel for Monster Hunter World in expansion form. So, anyone who's a fan of Monster Hunter is probably playing it already. So I don't really need to talk about that much. But honestly, Rand, that's pretty much all I've been playing because as you might be aware, there was no Xbox review program for Monster Hunter World Iceborne. So slightly behind on the review there. I don't know if I'm even going to bother because it's a bit late to the party at this point. But it's just been great. Like personally, I've absolutely been loving it, and it just sort of caps off. See the pun there? Capcom caps off. It caps off a great year for Capcom.
Yeah, they've had a pretty good year.
Yeah, Resident Evil 2, Devil May Cry, and now this. It's just it's been a really good year for Capcom, and it's cool to see it hit over 90 on Metacritic because honestly, it deserves it. I think it might be one of the best all-time great expansions. I've absolutely loved every minute of it. Other than that, Rand, I haven't really been playing too much because, like we're about to talk about, the Gears 5 servers have been a bit of a mess. So I've been sort of like mulling it over. Do I dedicate my time to Monster Hunter World, which does have convoluted multiplayer systems, but at least they work? Or do I try and struggle it out with Gears 5? And most of my friends have been playing Iceborne, so that's where I've been dedicating my time. But, what have you been playing, my dude? Other than Gears 5, if anything.
Other than Gears 5, I started playing Wreckfest on the
All right.
X. But I'm not that far into it yet to really talk about it. I've enjoyed a little bit of what I played, so I'm going to play a little bit more of it and obviously go probably more in depth next week. I've also started Greedfall.
All right. One of my colleagues reviewed that and he liked it. He said it was a bit rough, but he liked it.
Yeah. So I started a little bit of it. Obviously, like I'm not that far enough into it to give an opinion, so probably next week. But it definitely seems like the kind of game, if you miss like the BioWare RPGs, then this might be for you.
They've left a bit of a void in the market, haven't they?
Yeah, so keep your eye on that. And so far I've enjoyed what I've played. So, but I finished the day Xbox Live went down. I went on my PlayStation and I bought Observation, and I beat it. Because Observation was a game I wanted to play, and it was only available on the PlayStation and PC, and it was on sale. Have you know anything about Observation, Jez?
I've never heard of it.
So Observation is a game by Devolver Digital, who's, for whatever reason, their games don't come to Xbox. The Hotline Miamis, the Messengers, Katana Zero, this Observation game, like, for whatever reason, they don't come to Xbox. So this one was exclusive to PlayStation, and you play as an AI on a derelict space station that has run into some issues, and it's very unique, and it has this really interesting sci-fi story that's going on. I highly recommend it to anybody that wants a good sci-fi story. And if you can get it on sale, I think it's currently on sale for like $15 or like $12. I think it's also like an Epic Game Store exclusive. I quite enjoyed myself. Like I beat the game in one sitting in like 5 hours. I thought it was really cool. Like, it's really different playing as an AI on a spaceship. You have all these different cameras. You go, you like, hey, the person's like, what's wrong in like module 4? And you got to go over to module 4 via the cameras and kind of look around. And it's almost like you're playing as Hal from like Space Odyssey, 2001: A Space Odyssey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was definitely a really cool experience. But yeah, some guy says it's not exclusive to PlayStation. It's also on PC. Usually when I say exclusive to PlayStation or exclusive to Xbox, I'm really just talking the consoles. Because most everything is on PC. But yeah, it's on the Epic Game Store. Exclusive to the Epic Game Store. Because it's not on Steam, and then it's on PlayStation. But yeah, that's kind of what I played. Observation, Greedfall, and Wreckfest. So I'll probably talk more about those other two games next week. Because, man, it's all about Gears 5, right?
All about Gears 5, or at least it would be if the servers worked.
Yeah, so do we want to just start right with Gears 5, or do you want to save that little discussion for later?
Let's start now.
All right.
Why not?
So, okay, so you want to go... All right, it sounds to me like you want to talk about the server problems.
Well, honestly, I haven't really experienced them personally. But if you have, you need to let me know what it's like, because you got to remember, when I reviewed the game, there was no one playing it.
Well, so same thing with me. I reviewed it and nobody was playing it.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like there was none of these issues, and it seems like what they've done is they've tied some of the telemetry systems to the single player campaign, and because of the Xbox Live having issues, even people in the single player campaign were having issues, from what I saw.
Yeah, the idea of making your campaign always online, or at least needing the connection because it sets up a lobby. So a lot of people couldn't play it, or a lot of people had save issues. Like I, personally, like I said in my review, because I had the game early, I didn't have a single issue. I didn't have a single glitch. There was no server problems. There was no save issues. And that's why, like, I think I gave it a 9.2 or something like that in my review. Like, I love Gears 5. I think it's one of the best Gears games they've made. I think it's, like, the best Xbox Studios title this generation. The quality level of that game is, like, off the charts. How it looks, how it plays. The Coalition, in my opinion, the Coalition has taken a step up to, in my estimation, as Microsoft's best internal studio. I think the Coalition firmly sits at, I think they firmly sit at number one. I don't know who you could put at number one above them right now. Like maybe Mojang just because
Exile, baby.
No.
Wasteland 2, baby. What? No,
I thought you were gonna say Mojang just because they make Minecraft and Minecraft makes a lot of money, right?
Nah.
But
like I would have thought Playground Games would still be number one.
Well,
They've
here's
been
the thing.
The most. Go on.
Well, so for me, Playground Games is a little bit lower down the list because while they create outstanding and like genre-defining racing games, as with Forza Horizon 3 and Forza Horizon 4, I'm not ready yet to anoint them like number 1 or number 2 because they've only made Forza. So if they can take their second team, that which they're hiring for all the time, and they can create the Fable that is amazing, then to me they're number one because it shows that they can do multiple things. They can do a racing game and they can do an RPG. So if they produce a Fable game that's amazing, they'll be number one easy. But for me, I think the Coalition made that step up. Like the jump in quality from Gears 4 to 5 in every facet, animations, cutscenes, graphics, gameplay, like all that stuff, it's all an improvement. And it's like, okay, this is the jump I wanted to see the Coalition take. It's their second game. So I'm looking at Playground. It's like if they make Fable, boom, they're probably right there with the Coalition. And then you have like Ninja Theory based on like some of their previous work. Obsidian right there as well based on their previous work. 343 has a lot to prove to me. They've yet to really nail any of the single player elements of their game. They've or they've kind of mixed and matched. Like Halo 4 had what people would say a pretty good single player, but a piss poor multiplayer, and then Halo 5 had a horrible single player with the great multiplayer. So I need to see 343 actually combine them and make both an amazing single player co-op plus an amazing multiplayer.
I think that's fair.
But yeah, that's for me right now. It's the Coalition, just based on everything they did with Gears 5. Like when I played through it, I was so happy. It was so much fun. Like experiencing everything, not being spoiled by anything. And that's another thing. When you play some of these games early, I have no idea what any of these other reviewers are thinking. You know what I mean? I had talked to you because you were playing it. And I had talked to Colt and Dealer because they were playing it. But I don't know what everybody else is going to think. So I'm sitting there thinking like, holy crap. Like this is amazing. And then the reviews come in and then you see the 6s and the 7s from certain outlets, right? And like the Metacritic sits at like 83 and I think it got up to an 85, 86. In my opinion, I think that's a little bit too low. Obviously I rated the game a 9.2, but I think the game deserves like at least an 88. But
yeah, I thought it'd be. I didn't think it'd go over 90. I was thinking it'd be 88, 87. That was my prediction. But I really liked it too. Like the ending, like I'm not even gonna,
for the people.
I'm not even gonna talk about the ending. But I thought like it was just. I was never bored.
No.
And like sometimes like I always say when I know I'm playing a great game because I forget that I'm reviewing it and I'm just playing it and having fun. You know, sometimes like when I'm reviewing a game, it's kind of like, oh, I just want to get through this. You know, and eventually like the game outstays its welcome. You know, but Gears was never like that. The story was great throughout. The characters were a step up. Like I enjoyed the boss fights too, and some of the set pieces were just stunning. Like I will say though that I don't think it's. I mean, yeah, 4K 60 is impressive, but like they had two they had two basically desert zones that are wasteland featureless wastelands. Like if you can't get 4K 60 when you made a featureless wasteland, then there's something wrong, you know.
Yeah, that's
I'd
true.
like and the desert, like some of the cacti. I pointed this out in my review. It's like, yeah, they've got 4K 60, but they've sacrificed visual quality in other areas. Like some of the cacti models look like they'd been pulled out of a Pixar movie. They were so low poly, you know. And yeah, I'm totally nitpicking there, but like it depends on your taste. Like if you want 60 frames per second, you're gonna have to sacrifice some photorealism to get there. But if I compare it at like running around like in Astera in Monster Hunter World Iceborne right now, everything's photorealistic. Everything's got high resolution textures. Everything's detailed, but it's 30 frames per second because of that. You know, so you have to choose what you know, pick your poison sort of thing. But it was just felt like a step up in every sense.
Yeah.
But I will say though that by trying new things, they put themselves in a situation where they'd be compared to other games that just do it better. Like for example, the soft RPG mechanics, they were so soft and so basic that it just didn't stand up to similar games. You know, like even like Mass Effect 2 from like a million years ago does those mechanics better than Gears of War. If you're gonna go down that route and sort of make yourself into this sort of, I don't know, quasi RPG with open world elements, then it can't be like they can't get away with it being so basic and so simple as to avoid all criticism. You know, like at that point, it just becomes a like we put it in for the sake of putting it in,
So
and like
you think they basically just put their big toe in the water, and then we're like,
yeah,
this enough, and we just didn't jump in.
yeah. I thought like it came off as experimental rather than super confident, and that's fine. You know, I don't mind that because it gives them like areas to improve upon. And I'm not saying that they should turn Gears into a full blown semi RPG like Mass Effect is, but like it did feel kind of like they were going down that route, or at least exploring the possibilities of making Gears more of a deeper game
Yeah,
rather than it just being a cover shooter.
I mean, for sure, like the RPG element. I actually really like the RPG elements with Jack. I thought it changed enough of the combat and made it unique enough. I kind of thought like I wish the cooldown was a little bit less because if you use both abilities in a fight, you only got to really use both abilities. So I would like the cooldown to be a little bit less. But yeah,
Well, that's the thing. I thought the cooldown was good because otherwise you could get into a scenario where you're just spamming things. But therein lies the issue with
Yeah, I guess
introducing
so.
RPG elements.
Yeah,
It's like you give people the option of tailoring their playstyle, and then you don't let them tailor their playstyle, and then it comes off more like Jack's just another weapon you equip, you know. So I think like if they wanna explore this route, they need to either go all in or not at all in the future. But it's fine for a first try, is basically what I'm saying.
yeah.
That's just my personal opinion.
Well,
Yeah.
Elementapino in chat with the super chat, he says, with all the talent and initiative and coalition, I think 343 has enough feedback to make a great balanced game. All the studios supposedly talk to each other now. I mean, yeah, they all talk to each other. They all share tips and tricks and engine stuff. And yeah, I was impressed by the jump that the coalition took. Was all I'm saying. So for me, they're the best studio, and 343's got to step their game up with Halo. Ninja Theory's got to come out with something great. Playground Games, all these studios. It's like now it's like there's the new standard. That's what I said in my review. I basically called it like the new standard for Xbox first party. It's like that's the model you should be going after. But some people are saying like Like Strap4K says, Rand, the game is broken and you're saying it's a 90. Laugh my ass off. Or Kratopsy saying, unfortunately, the game being playable is part of the gamer experience. Well, here's the thing. I don't know if you missed it earlier. I had the game early. I had the game like the Friday before. I didn't have any problems playing the game. There were no save issues. There were no server problems. There were no glitches, and there were no bugs. So,
I didn't experience a single bug while I was playing.
So when I
think like I had a pathing issue on one NPC. That was the only problem I had.
Yeah, so when I finished the game, and I had played like 30 like rounds of escape, I had done some arcade mode stuff. I finished the campaign. I'd done like all the side missions. Like it was a 9.2 to me. Like I can't really go back and knock the score down because other people then started having issues when the game came out to the masses. It was like I didn't have any problems. So I don't know what to tell you, man. I know some people did, and I do want to say it's a bad look. Like Gears,
it's especially because it's server issues.
Yes,
which is supposedly Microsoft's speciality. Well,
that's the thing. It's like
there be issues with the creative aspects of the game, but the server issues.
Yeah, so I think on Friday Xbox Live went down. Now, you could say maybe that's unrelated to Gears. Maybe it was entirely due to Gears. Maybe more people logged on and started playing it than they thought. I don't really know. But, I mean, Gears has kind of had server problems ever since then, like not giving you rewards at the end of a match when it's supposed to, even though they say you will get them. I had friends who had save issues. Now, whether that's tied to the server problems, I don't really know. But, like, the problem I have is, like, this is your marquee game for the entire year from one of your marquee franchises. Millions of people are going to come check it out in Game Pass. I mean, this was the reason you having these $1 things. Finally a big AAA game launching day one. And I know Forza Horizon 4 launched into their last year, but there's a big difference between Gears of War and Forza Horizon. Like huge. And they have the server problems, which, I mean, I don't know. I just don't think it's a good look. Especially when you have two tech tests and it doesn't really work properly. Luckily for them, the game's so good that most people overlook the server problems. A lot of people are like, oh, I got disconnected for the 6th time today, but the game's still good regardless. Or I had this save bug and I got to replay 30 minutes, so, whatever, the game's really good. Because if the game wasn't good, people would have dropped the game immediately. But yeah, those server problems, they need to rectify that because I
have dropped a couple of patches already to fix some of the issues, but yeah.
Well, Cotton McToast or McCast, he says, can you even be mad for $1? Like, come on. Well, see, that's the thing. Like, not everybody bought the game via Game Pass for $1. Some people actually bought it for $60 or $80. Yeah, some people signed up the Game Pass for $1, but it's supposed to be a smooth experience. You're not supposed to run into those issues. And
I don't think we can this is one of the traps here with Game Pass actually, and it's slightly off topic. But the Matt from MPD I think it was him. He tweeted something recently which was something like, will Game Pass devalue content? And it's kind of like, if you're getting stuff for $1, do you actually are you more forgiving about those sorts of problems and stuff like that? I don't think we should allow ourselves to get into a situation where we're forgiving bugs just because something's cheap.
Yeah. Pretty much, I agree with you. And, I mean, if you think that... Here's the other thing. It's like, if Gears did this on Game Pass, imagine what Halo's gonna do. You know what I mean? Like, Halo's... I don't care what people say. People can say Gears is... a marquee franchise, and it is, but Halo's way beyond Gears. So, if they got a year to figure it all out, because when Halo Infinite comes out, and it's a launch title for Scarlett, and it's on Xbox One and Xbox One X, and it's on Steam, and it's on Game Pass on all these devices, Game Pass on the console, Game Pass on PC, and xCloud is going to be available at that point, so people are going to be streaming it. they better hope their servers hold. So maybe, you know what a buddy said to me? I asked him, it was like, what do you think was the problem with the coalition? And he said to me, they didn't hire enough network engineers. They hired too many developers and artists. Maybe that was the issue. Maybe they just didn't have enough network engineers. But it does say, like most of the problems are fixed, and they gave people a bunch of like scrap to fix for it. And Greg wants to know, what difficulty did I play it on? I played Act 1 and Act 2 and half of Act 3 on experienced difficulty. And then somebody came in for co-op, and my game got bumped down to normal. So I played like half of Act 3 and Act 4 on normal, and didn't really even know it until I looked later. So, yeah, so half of it on experienced, half of it on normal. I'll probably go back and play through it on Insane, though, to get the achievements for it. But, yeah, and because Gears was in Game Pass, Jez, I don't know if you saw this. Well, I know you did, because Windows Central covered it. It dethroned Fortnite as the most played game on Xbox Live for the time that it came out.
That's impressive, right?
I think so. I didn't expect Gears to do it.
I would never expected that, even with Game Pass. But like, maybe it shows that Game Pass is actually like a contender now, because Fortnite sort of sits in that sort of similar world where it's like accessible because of its price, i.e., free. So I thought that was interesting.
Do you think?
But also,
last?
it could. I don't think it'll last. No, but it could also show that Fortnite's popularity is waning as well. Maybe.
Well, I mean, yeah, I would say that. I mean, but this also, Red Dead Redemption 2 couldn't unseat it, and Apex Legends couldn't unseat it, and Call of Duty Black Ops 4.
That was in the midst of full Fortnite.
Apex Legends couldn't do it. So I guess, yeah, there is that sense that Fortnite's declining. But then again, you look at the game, what type of game could have the player count needed to unseat something like Fortnite? And you're like, it has to be a free-to-play title, right? Because it needs to get so many users. Although, let me clarify, most played, I'm pretty sure that chart means time played and not users. You know what I mean? Like the most played chart on Xbox means more time was played playing Xbox Ultimate, not more people actually played Gears Ultimate than Fortnite. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
Because people make that difference there. But Gears 5 is that kind of, I don't know if you want to call it like maybe the first hybrid free-to-play title to a certain degree. Yeah, it has a $60 and $80 version, but with Game Pass, for a lot of people, for millions of people, it just shows up as a game they can play. And, all these other people trying it out for $1 or $2, it's almost a free-to-play title in that sense. So, when you think about it, maybe we should have predicted Gears would be the game to knock off Fortnite. You know what I mean?
Well, it certainly shows that Game Pass isn't the dud that a lot of people would either say it is or hope it is, It's hard to tell because Microsoft doesn't give us any numbers, it's really annoying actually. Like if I was a shareholder and I wasn't getting numbers on this stuff, I'd find it annoying. Even Activision give numbers on some of this sort of stuff. Well, actually, maybe they don't. They don't give numbers on World of Warcraft subscribers anymore. They just sort of focus on the more vague. What is your monthly active users? We've talked about that before.
Yes.
But it just bodes well. It's obviously like a good metric to beat Fortnite in any sense of talking about it.
Yeah, Miles said that to your point on Game Pass, Coalition said player count was 3 times higher than they were expecting. Well, if that was the case, then if it was 3 times higher, then no wonder they had server issues, and no wonder Xbox Live had problems. Because if you're expecting 1 million people, if you're throwing a party and you're expecting 20 people, but then 60 people show up, well, you're not going to have enough food and drinks for everybody, and you might cause problems and get the cops to show up. Because I've actually had that issue once, Jez, where I was throwing a party because my parents were gone, back when I was in high school. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like,
wow, Randall party animal.
well, I mean, you know how it was, man. Like my parents.
No, I don't rant. I didn't have any friends.
Yes, you did, Jez. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Come on.
Yeah, sure.
But there was this one time they left. I think I was like 16. They took my brother and my sister, and they were gone. They drove up to our relatives that were about like an hour, hour north. And I was like, all right, party time at my house, right? And I was expecting about 10 friends to come over. And we had 50 people show up. 50 people. And it wasn't. So it went from me being like, oh,
well, that would have been before the Facebook era, right?
yes, this was before this was in the 90s, you know? So I'm expecting 10 people, 50 people show up. I'm freaking the fuck out because the house is getting dirty. I don't know when my parents are coming home. Like, I can see the neighbors, like, one of them's coming to the door, and I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna tell my parents. I'm gonna find out, like, it was horrible. Instead of it being, like, cool, calm, collective, like, enjoying it, I was just, like, filled with stress, you know? So I had to kick everybody out of the house. I had to clean it up before they got home. But, I'm saying, like, that's the comparison.
Did it work out? I need to know.
No, I didn't get in trouble, so that was great.
That's good.
But yeah, that's the comparison. It's like they're expecting 1 million people to show up, and 3 million people show up, and it just breaks their servers completely. So yeah. Gears dethroning Fortnite. I don't think anybody saw that. And then I saw Z Huge say that this was the first like mega hit for Game Pass, and how it's like getting all these new subs and stuff. And this is something that like the service really needed.
Well, dude, they've gone so hard on marketing this as part of Game Pass. Like all the cookies and the what is it, Rockstar energy drinks, and I saw Aaron Greenberg tweeting like a ton of billboard ads in major cities all across the world, and they all just advertise Gears and Game Pass alongside each other.
Yeah, they don't.
So you can imagine
they don't even really advertise Xbox. It was just Game Pass. You know?
Yep, indeedy do. They're really going for it. And I think that could pull it off. Before I was kind of like, ooh, I don't know if this is really actually going to take off, but I think this is the first sign that all the naysayers and doubters and cynical people like myself are probably wrong.
Probably. So do you think? So remember when we would talk about Gears before, and people would say it's a dead franchise, or Coalition needs to move away from it? What do you think now?
I still hear that all the time, where people say, "I wish the Coalition would make something else."
Well, I mean, I do wish. All right, I was one of those people for sure. I have been on the record saying I would love for the Coalition to make something else. I would love for 343 to make something else, right? But after finishing Gears 5, I will have to say I'm looking forward to Gears 6. Because I was not looking forward to Gears 5 whatsoever. After Gears 4, which is a game I didn't really care for that much, I was like, you know what? After finishing Gears 5, I was like, I want to see the conclusion, and I'll use conclusion because even though they say this isn't a trilogy, I would imagine this kind of thing would wrap up next game. But I'm looking forward to what they do at 6, but I still want them to make another game in between, Jez. I still hope they do. I hope that the Coalition is making something to come out 3 years from now, so 2022, that's not Gears, and they let Gears 6 kind of stew and just wait, so like Gears 6 can come out like 6 years from now,
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see what that team can do that isn't Gears, but at the same time, I still think like there's so much of Gears that they still need to nail down. Like when I was interviewing them at the Coalition, we talked a lot about like negative space, just sort of aspects of the world that don't make sense or haven't been explained yet. Like we don't really know. There's so much we don't know about the Gears of War universe, the planet, and society and stuff like that. There's all these sort of vague sort of hints at things, and then like you can learn more if you read the books about the Pendulum Wars and stuff like that, sure, but I just kind of want them to flesh out some of that stuff. I think there's so much to do in Gears before they start making another universe, personally.
Right. Fair enough.
That's just how I feel.
Anything else you want to touch on with the Gears?
Not really. I think he's made all the main points. Like, this is the huge step up for the coalition, and like I wrote in my review, it hopefully marks a turning point for Xbox Game Studios, because like we've been in this sort of weird limbo where every game that was coming out just felt like rushed or unfinished and just poorly executed, like, you know, the crackdowns of the world and stuff like
Don't
that.
worry, we're still getting something like that. It's called Battletoads.
Ah, well, that's a side-scrolling indie game, so like, I'm not gonna count that. And
Okay.
apparently that's actually pretty fun.
Yeah, I doubt
You
it.
know, if you like side-scrolling beat 'em ups like Guacamelee and stuff, you're probably gonna like Battletoads. But I don't know, we'll see. But I just hope it's a turning point, and I want to see what they do with Halo. And you know, I'm excited for Gears Tactics as well now. I do wonder if Gears Tactics is gonna have like some kind of story tie-in somewhere, because it's the Locust in Gears Tactics. It's not the Swarm.
Yeah.
So it's almost maybe sort of a mid sequel prequel sort of thing. I don't even know what you call that. Spin-off. I don't know.
Zalker. Shout out to my buddy Zalker. He wants to know, does Gears 5 make you look forward to Gears Tactics?
Well, it's a completely different developer. So it's Splash Damage making Gears Tactics. And we don't literally nothing about it. Although I would say with almost certainty that we might finally hear something about it at XO. I was excited for it anyway. Like it's funny, Rand. I tweeted like back in 2014, I'd love to see a XCOM-like game set in the Gears of War universe, and then here we are. That was like a complete random. Like, I had no inkling that was happening. And I'm just excited for the format, but like I'm hoping that it can sort of nail down an audience better than Halo Wars did. Because as much as I did enjoy Halo Wars, it didn't appeal very well to that crowd, the RTS crowd. It wasn't hardcore enough, you know. So I'm kind of hoping that they don't make the same mistakes with Gears Tactics, or make it too simple and try and appeal to the shooter crowd. I just hope they go all out tactics and just keep it in that universe, you know, with a good story. Because I've heard it doesn't have a management layer. It's just sort of like pure tactics and stuff. So I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, for me, not really. I'm not that much of an XCOM kind of guy, and even though it is Gears, but it's basically plays as an XCOM clone, doesn't make like Gears 5. With how much I liked Gears 5, it makes me interested in Gears 6, or it makes me interested in anything the Coalition's doing. It doesn't make me interested in a side project by another studio, you know. So that's kind of where I'm at. And shout out to NMNPO for the super chat. He says, I want Rod to make Bloodwake, water physics, open world, and explosions. So he wants their next game to be Bloodwake. I somehow doubt that there's ever going to be another Bloodwake. But you know, just really quickly, you know what I want to see in Gears 6, Jez?
What's that?
I want to see them embrace the open world and kind of go a little bit more in depth in the RPG stuff. Because it's like, you bring that...
See, I'm the opposite.
See, but
I
look at it like this. Let me kind of finish. Like, I look at it like this. Look at the differences between Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood and Revelations, and then what they've done with Odyssey. Like, you could say the Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Origins games are basically new IP because they're completely different than the previous ones. They have, and like, I have friends who like the old style of Assassin's Creed but hates, you know, the new style of Assassin's Creed. I want them to kind of like, it's like you said before, they kind of just stuck their big toe into the water. And they're like, okay, here's an open world, but there isn't really that much to do. There's some areas here you can kind of go into and have like our own separate firefight. And here's some maybe, you know, like really minuscule RPG elements, right? But I want them to take that to the next level. I mean, I still think you could have a Gears game set in a gigantic open world alongside all this other stuff. It might more resemble Assassin's Creed Odyssey than Assassin's Creed Odyssey 2 or Assassin's Creed 2, but I still think you can get it done. That's kind of what I want to see.
See, I want them to double down on the RPG elements and maybe, you know, because there was even like rudimentary stealth elements with being able to initiate combat and the Jack stealth field and stuff like that. I want to see them double down on that gameplay, evolving the gameplay of that sort of, because Mass Effect 2 and 3 had like all these different enemies that required different strategy approaches and different tactics. Like if you're a engineer, you could zap them and stuff like that. I want to see Jack's loadout matter more, because it didn't really matter. You could just change it whenever you felt like it and stuff like that. So I kind of want them to double down on the RPG mechanics, but I'm concerned, Rand, that if they try and do open world, they'll end up with something empty and boring and pointless. Kind of like, I don't know, like honestly, I felt like when the Arkham games went open world, they lost something that Arkham Asylum had. I think like wide linear is, I think like the size of the open world areas they had was good. They just needed more density. I don't think they need to be bigger. I don't think we need to go Ubisoft. I think we just need more density. And I think Mass Effect 2 really nailed that sense of wide linearity, where you could take different missions at different times. You could evolve the story how you wanted to. You could make choices which impacted main missions later on. I would like them to move more in that direction, but keep it still the core Gears combat experience, that tight, violent shooter experience, but expand it out to something that I can really get invested in with the RPG stuff, my choices, make them matter more, do more choices, that sort of thing. And honestly, fill that niche, because BioWare has abandoned it. EA has abandoned that niche. The Coalition with Gears could perfectly fill that niche without sacrificing the cinematic action that Gears is known for. They could fill that niche.
Yeah.
So that's where I hope they go.
God, I really wish we could have like a spoiler moment here and talk about choices and stuff, but I don't want to ruin that for anybody.
Let's not talk spoilers.
Do you think there's a chance that, because Jeff Keighley announced today that the Game Awards are coming back as usual, right? Do you think there's a chance that one of the 5 nominees could be Gears 5?
I think they'll nominate it. I think they'll do it to throw them a bone. But we all know who's going to win Game of the Year this year.
Well, you want
Jeff's mate.
Jeff made this. This is a Games Award made specifically for the one and only Hideo Kojima.
See, this is complicated for Jeff Keighley, because he's in the game. He's part of that game. If Death Stranding is amazing, and even if it does deserve Game of the Year, and he gives it Game of the Year, it's gonna look really bad.
Well, he doesn't vote on it.
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't matter that he doesn't vote on it, because he's made the show about himself.
True.
It's his show. He is the Game Awards. And if Death Stranding wins it, it doesn't matter that he didn't vote on it. It's just going to look a bit dodgy,
So Rob64 says all 5 nominations are Death Stranding.
It's just going to be called the Death Stranding Awards this year, I think. But people will make that joke, it'll become a meme. So he's put himself in a weird position there. But I'm excited. Like, just to segue off Gears, I'm pretty excited for Death Stranding, even though I know nothing about it.
Well, if you want to know stuff about it, he released a 50-minute video today, and as well as like a 7-minute, another 7-minute video, and it definitely has a mixed reaction on Twitter. Now, I didn't watch the 50 minutes of it because I'm not watching 50 minutes of any gameplay, anything. You know what I mean?
Oh my god. Do you know that Monster Hunter World Iceborne put out 3 50-minute dev diaries for Iceborne, and I watched all of them. And I watched the first one twice.
Like I like Dying Light, right? And Dying Light 2 had a 26-minute gameplay walkthrough. I think I watched like 4 minutes of it, because at that point it's like, I don't need to be sold on Dying Light. Like, I don't want to watch all this. Like, I kind of want to experience for myself. Like, so 50 minutes, I'm sitting there like, number one, I don't want to waste an hour of my life basically watching something. Number two, I'm going to get Death Stranding anyways. So, but like seeing the reaction of people, finally realize what Death Stranding is kind of funny. I mean, it's basically a game where you play Sam Bridges, and you're walking from the east coast of America to the west coast of America, dropping off packages in between, creating connections between people. And then in between, there are like, outlaws, so you gotta like kind of like use stealth or any of that stuff to get past. But yeah, it's probably got a ridiculous sci-fi story or whatever. And some people just watch it and they see this, they're walking and they're like, what the F is this? Like, what is all you do is because there's options to piss in the game. There's an option to sit on the toilet or stand at the toilet and piss.
I love that stuff, man.
It's you know what? I think Sony literally were just like, here's a check, make the game, and they said no to anything. Like they didn't say no to anything. And he was just like, we can just put whatever the hell we want in the game, and Sony's just like, yeah, whatever, just make it. Because some of that stuff is just weird. And shout out to
the thing is, right? I was thinking of this while I was reviewing Monster Hunter World. Actually, Monster Hunter World has so many like little pointless details. Like you can go for a dip in some hot springs, and it's pointless. Like it doesn't do anything. I added like 4 separate moves you can do while you're in the hot spring. It doesn't add any gameplay value, but I'm telling you, it's things like that which make a game memorable, and it's things like that which Japanese devs seem to appreciate way more than Western devs. Like there was a couple of little cool things in Gears of War 5, like if you shoot the tomatoes, Marcus Phoenix gets pissed. And stuff like that. And those are like cool little moments which add value to the game. Japanese games seem to be full of that stuff, and Western games just aren't. So like, even though like people are laughing about being able to piss in Death Stranding, we're sitting here talking about it, which is something that, we wouldn't be doing if it wasn't in the game. I know it seems dumb, but I think it's funny. And I'm glad it's there.
I just think the reaction to it is comical, right? And I'm not saying you can't be excited for whatever you want. Of course you can. And if this game doesn't interest you, then obviously, so be it. But there's definitely a group of people who are like Kojima worshippers.
Me.
Right? Who, no matter what he made, it would be the greatest thing ever. It'd be game of the year no matter what. And there's a group of people who are, PlayStation fans who like all the exclusives that look at this and they're like, yeah, another PlayStation exclusive, another one for the list, another one for the console war, right? And then there's people who kind of just enjoy games who look at this either way and they're like, well, it looks interesting or it doesn't look interesting. And then, of course, there's like Xbox fans who are like, wow, that game looks like garbage, and you guys talk shit about Crackdown 3. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's all of that is kind of mixed up into this whole thing. I'm gonna play it for myself, right? I'm gonna play it for myself and decide. But I can't help but say, it's like, dude, like being a FedEx simulator and some of that stuff, and some of the clips I've seen of like him throwing grenades at a boss fight, it's just. It's going to be really weird come review day, because I already know come review day there's going to be tens, and they're going to talk about how Kojima's a genius and how like this game is a league beyond everything else. And then I know there's also going to be reviews saying that it's like the most boringest thing they've ever actually played. And I agree with you, more than likely, without having played the game, I think it's probably wins Game of the Year. I honestly do, because it's the game I predicted would win Game of the Year from the media from the very beginning, once it was announced that it was coming out this year. I don't know. I think Kojima gets away with more things than anybody else.
But at least he's trying something different, I mean, ultimately we need to wait and play it, okay? But I trust Kojima. Like he said, if you trust me, don't watch the TGS demo. So I haven't watched it because I trust the guy. Like he made one of the games which I personally think is one of the best ever made. Like I think Metal Gear Solid 3 is one of the best games ever made. And that for me is Kojima at his absolute best. And if it can even approach like Metal Gear Solid 3, I'll be a happy man,
Yeah. Zim804 says Metal Gear Solid 5 didn't win Game of the Year, so it's not automatic.
Yeah,
True,
but
but I
that was.
think I think people had their agenda against Konami at that point. And I mean,
And also, they ruined the game, which
well, I
helps.
mean, you say that, but it has like a 95 in Metacritic. So did they? Did they, Jez?
They did. They did ruin the game. I gave it 7 out of 10. I think,
I
or
only played
6.
it for an hour. I'm just saying that it's like it's gonna be when that game comes out. I can just see I can that watch that game just get like a 98 on Metacritic. Like every single review would just be like, "This is the gaming has been reinvented. This
Well, the thing is
is
that
the new pinnacle."
there is another game that's a FedEx simulator.
Well,
It's called Sea of Thieves.
there's also like a FedEx simulator game. Like
Is that really?
I mean, there's all those type of simulator games on PC, like Truck Simulator, Car Simulator, Driving School Simulator. I'm sure there's one where it's simulator.
Package delivery simulator.
Whatever.
You got what you get chased by a dog and you have to disinfect your wounds or something. My stepdad delivers packages, and he got bitten by a dog. It doesn't seem like a fun profession.
Yeah, but can you imagine what would happen if Jeff puts together this show, hypes up Kojima, and then the reviews come in and it's like a 62? Like people just call it the most pretentious game they've ever played.
I don't think most game reviewers cannot identify pretension very well.
I mean, fair enough. But can you imagine though, like if that actually kind of did happen? It's like, oh, we got
That'd be
Hideo Kojima coming, he'll be here. But like the reviews are all like 65. It's like one of the worst games of the year. Like, would he still show up? Would Jeff cry on stage?
Poor Jeff.
Poor Jeff. Poor Jeff. Speaking of game that's coming out tonight, Borderlands 3. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's had its own share of drama as well.
Oh my god,
I mean,
so
Randy
much drama.
Pitchford, and what he's been doing for the past year, the whole Epic Game Store exclusive, but more recently, the review drama surrounding Borderlands 3. So what's up with that, Jez?
Well, they didn't give very many outlets a review code. Now, on the one hand, it's kind of like, yeah, the game sites aren't entitled to review stuff, right? But at least in Windows Central's case, they invited us to several previews for the game. I think it was 3 in total. Now that's time and effort and money we could have spent on another publisher, And in the end, they didn't give us a review key. So it just kind of makes you feel a bit used if they've given us like tiny snippets of the game that make the game seem cool to hype it up, and then they don't even think we're worthy of a review key. Whereas like our competitors like IGN and whatnot are worthy of a review key. It's kind of frustrating. So they said they did it for security reasons. Like they were saying like people would spoiler the game or something. So I don't know. Like some people are saying like they're trying to manipulate the Metascore by focusing entirely on known reviewers that are known quantities kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's
like
not even
reviewers
that high.
they think they can
It's only like an
Yeah.
85, so it's like that
Well,
obviously
clearly
didn't pay off.
But like it's hard to think of another reason for it. And like now they've given us like a copy of the collector's edition and review key to get a key to give away, which is currently being given away on WC Gaming Tweets if anyone wants a chance at winning a free copy. But it's just weird, I am personally bothered because I am a massive Borderlands fan. And like I wasn't reviewing the game either. Like one of my colleagues was going to review it. I just feel bad for the team we put together that did so much work on the game, and then only to get snubbed in the end. Like I don't care if we get a review key or not, because it's not like I'm in a position where I can't afford to buy it. And it's just about competing with IGN ultimately at the end of the day. Like can you imagine like IGN not getting a review key for something? No, you can't. But now they've soaked up all the Google SEO, we can't even compete if we do a review. So it just feels unfair, And it's not about getting free stuff. It's about competing with other game outlets. That's the frustration. At least for me, I can't speak for other game sites, or YouTubers or whatever, because a lot of YouTubers didn't get keys either, right?
Well, hardly anybody did. I mean, but before I get into that, I got to shout out Enrique, the Basement Radio Arcade podcast. He had 2 super chats. He said,
Oh,
worst
wow.
kept secret, Death Stranding wins Game of the Year, and Keeley erupts into tears of joy. Well, that's not going to be much of a secret. It's probably going to happen. Oh, can you imagine? Can you imagine that, Jez? Announce this Game of the Year, Kojima coming to take the Moon Man or whatever the hell that thing's called from Jeff Keighley, and as tears just rain down his cheeks, and hands it over to Kojima. Oh man, that'll be a moment. And then he also says Randy Pitchford will do jail time. Yeah, Randy Pitchford has he's got some issues. He loses what? Yeah, a bunch of like what did he lose? Like a USB stick with a bunch of porn and company files at like a restaurant somewhere or something?
Yeah, like barely legal porn or something.
Yeah.
Bit weird.
Like Bit weird. So yeah, a lot of people for the whole Borderlands 3, they didn't really give out a lot of keys to really anybody. It was just US outlets. I don't really think YouTubers got it. Some like Twitch streamers that 2K works with closely, like I saw Arcs Gaming, and I think who's the big Destiny streamer that used to be a Borderlands streamer? I forget his name. He was one of the begins with like a B. I forget his name though. He was a big Borderlands streamer, and then he got big into Destiny. I saw him streaming Destiny or Borderlands 3 today.
Bandalthor.
No, I can't think of his name though. But yeah, so the other thing was though that I don't know if you saw like the Polygon article about this whole Borderlands stuff, was that they didn't give like actual keys to the journalist, like an Xbox code or a PlayStation code or like a code for Steam or whatever. They just gave them access to a preloaded Epic Games account with the game on there already. Isn't that kind of weird?
That is weird.
Yeah, and like how they were saying the game had a lot of issues. One of the Polygon's writers said like his friend lost like 6 hours of progress at one point, had to start over. Oh, there you go, Goliathan. King Goliathan, that's the guy's name. Yeah, so man, I don't know what it is. It's like always some weird it's always some weird stuff with Randy Pitchford and Borderlands. Like the game's gonna sell incredible. Like everybody's gonna get the game. But there's always just some weird, shady stuff going on with Borderlands. I'm not sure it has to do with 2K. Maybe they're the ones behind it. Maybe it is 2K, because look at all the shady stuff going on with NBA 2K.
What's going on with that? Because I've seen some stuff with NBA. Is it microtransaction related?
It's always microtransactions related, loot boxes, and all this other stuff. I don't know. Oh yeah, and Jasper.
Did you see the British Parliament recently recommended that loot boxes be restricted to 18 rated games in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna crush FIFA profitability in the UK.
Jesper notes that he heard on the Giant Bombcast that Giant Bombcast did not get a key due to their E3 coverage. So 2K didn't like the tone of their E3 coverage for Borderlands, so they didn't get a key because of it.
Wow.
And I actually heard that as the case for a couple of the bigger YouTubers as well. Like, they didn't like the tone of their coverage, so they didn't get a key. So it's like, it's like you said, it's like nobody's really entitled to free keys.
It does seem like they've tried to manipulate Metacritic, I think. And I think like they've restricted it to outlets they thought they could predict, or and stuff like that. Maybe, I don't know, because like the person who's going to review it for us, I don't think they've ever reviewed a game with 2K before, so it is what it is. Like I don't care, I got too much monsters to slay, but it is what it is,
So when you work for Windows Central, do you tell 2K who's reviewing the game? Like, do you be like, you know what I mean? Like, because the only reason I bring this up, because IGN put out their review, and I think Richard Dugan did the review for them, and I think he gave it a 9. But then there was another IGN editor who played the game and put her opinions on Twitter, and she destroyed the game on Twitter.
Oof.
Said it was one of the most soulless games she's ever played. The jokes were unfunny. The combat was piss poor. I mean, she literally was on Twitter and just tore the game a new one, right? And she was like, oh, this isn't a review. This is just my opinions on the game. I played it. But obviously, IGN's review is going to be Richard Dugan for someone who actually liked it. Now, I wonder how it would be a little bit different if that girl who hated the game was in charge of the review, because that review would come out at about a 5 out of 10 instead of the 9 out of 10, because, from the guy who actually ended up doing it. So I wonder if, do ever these companies, tell, hey, by the way, so-and-so's reviewing it, or maybe, hey, maybe 2K's we want this person to review the game. You know what I mean? That type of stuff.
Well, we don't actually tell them who's going to review it, but we don't have a very big team, so it's kind of obvious if the person asking for the review key is probably the one going to be doing the review, right?
Yeah.
So the person on our team who was asking for the review key, which wasn't me, was the person that they've probably not worked with before and aren't very familiar with. So, I don't know. It is what it is. But it's just noteworthy. It's just noteworthy because it's just weird more than anything.
Yeah, you don't really see that type of stuff.
No, the last time something like this happened was Metal Gear Solid 5, when Konami flew specific reviewers out to review the game from their US headquarters in closed conditions. So it's the same thing happened with Borderlands. We got our review key on the day of launch. Same thing happened with Metal Gear Solid 5. We got our review key on the day of launch because we weren't in that review boot camp period or whatever. So I don't know, it's a bit weird, but no big deal. Because like you say, the game's probably going to sell. Borderlands has its fan base. I have never been a particularly huge fan of Borderlands in general. I think the writing is terrible. Honestly, Borderlands humor makes me cringe so hard. I can't, I don't know if it's meant to be cringy. It just comes off as really unfunny to me. So, I don't know. I'll give it a go. But I haven't completed a single Borderlands game because I end up just getting bored halfway through.
Right.
So, is what it is, man. You're gonna play it, right?
Yeah, I bought it. I really didn't have any intention of wanting to play it because I bought it for my buddy I game share with. Shout out to Xbox for the game share though. Oh, you know what I mean? So much better when you can basically get every release for half price.
Yeah, well.
Price.
We still don't know if that's officially supported, do we?
It's official. I mean, of course it's officially supported. What do you mean? It's literally been like that since the 360, the way the licenses work. You get a license for your, gamer tag, and you get a license for the console that it was bought on. It's been like that since 2005. I mean, they're not going to come out and say, hey guys, if you didn't know, here's a neat life trick to game share, and they make a video on the official Xbox channel. And by the way, if you trust a friend, you can give him your password, he can log in as you, and he can set that Xbox to his home console, and then you do the same, and basically you share each other's libraries, and now you can buy, obviously they're not going to do that because it's against terms of service to give your password to somebody else. So obviously it's something that's just it's how they handle the licenses, so it's just one of those things where it's just yeah, well, we know people are going to do it. There's nothing we can really do about it. But it does make it nice because my buddy bought Control, so now it's my turn and I got to buy Borderlands. So, it is $60, get you 2 games. That's great. I'll buy as many games as I want to play. So yeah, I'm going to buy Borderlands. I'll probably play it. I think Colt wanted to play it. So yeah. I want to talk about Anthem really quick, Jez. Did you hear the news today about Anthem?
Yeah, Anthem is finally in EA Access a long time after I thought it would be.
Really? A long time?
I thought it'd be there way sooner than this.
I mean, Jez, you do realize that... Here's the thing. EA Access Vault, right, games usually take about a year from their initial release date until they get to the EA Access Vault, which means you can just play it. Anthem made it in less than 7 months.
Still, I thought it'd be there way quicker than this.
I thought it would be free to play at some point.
Well, I think the game would need complete revamp to become free to play, but
so let me ask this. I guess the question is Anthem worth playing if you have EA Access and just want to download it from the vault? Is it worth playing?
No.
No, not even. So if it was in Game Pass, basically. So what you're saying is EA Anthem is just not worth playing, period.
I wouldn't play EA Anthem. Sorry. I wouldn't play Anthem if they gave me money.
Wow.
It's awful. Awful game. At least it was several months ago, but from what I gather, not a lot changed. Like the way I track gamer sentiment about these kind of games is I just browse the subreddits. I browse the subreddits and see what people are saying. I see the same complaints that I saw 7 months ago. No loot, boring loot, weapon skins are lame, everything's bad and there's nothing to do and stuff like that. I have no clue what they're doing with that game. I don't know whether they're going to try and pivot to, I don't know, like a re-release, kind of like Final Fantasy XIV had with Realm Reborn or something like that. But I couldn't in good faith recommend that. I just think it's so bad. Not fun.
That's interesting. I mean, I played the demo and that turned me off on the game. I thought maybe, with it being an EA Access Vault, it might be worth playing, but you don't think so. Even though Shady in the chat says it's definitely worth playing. He says Anthem's worth to play. It's been fixed up. It's better than it was. So Shady thinks it's worth playing.
That's a low bar.
That's a low bar. Okay, fair enough. Low bar. So Phil Spencer teases the Xbox Scarlett. Jez, did you see this stuff?
I didn't. I saw that we wrote about it, but I didn't read our own.
Yeah. So here, I'll tell you all about it. You ready?
Hit me.
So Phil had a stream with the Bungie guys where he played Destiny 2 on Tuesday, was on Tuesday. Now, he got criticized for it. And why do you think he got criticized for it, Jez? Why do you think people... Because there was a lot... Number one, he got criticized for doing the stream. Number two, there's a lot of speculation surrounding the stream because of who he was streaming with. And then, obviously, the third thing was that, obviously, he talked about Scarlett. But why do you think he got criticized for streaming that game? Well, because so he's streaming with the CEO of Bungie. They're doing strikes on the... And they're streaming Destiny 2 on the day his own game, Gears 5, launches. So some people were upset that here he is once again kind of promoting somebody else's game.
Well, it sounds to me like it was just a case of being able to sync up their schedule. Because Phil is a busy guy. Yeah. And I presume the head of Bungie is probably a busy guy as well.
Presume so. But some people wanted Phil to be, out there streaming Gears 5, whatever, right? Then, of course, because he's playing with Bungie and this whole acquisition fever that goes on with Microsoft, buying 6 studios last year or 7 studios, PlayStation acquiring Insomniac, people look for literally anything. Any clues? Oh my God, did you see Shuhei Yoshida and the guy who's in charge of the Guerrilla Games, the Herman Hulst, they congratulated Insomniac 1 minute apart, or not Insomniac, Remedy Games after they launched Control. That means unequivocally that Remedy is bought out by Sony. They are officially owned by Sony. Like, I don't know how many people I saw that. And I'm not saying that Sony's not going to buy Remedy at some point. It very well could happen. But people look...
There's no smoke without fire, Rand.
Well, people look for clues and everything. They see, like, oh my God, look at all these Sony developers congratulating Remedy. And then, of course, Phil Spencer congratulates Remedy. And it's like, well, does that mean Xbox is buying Remedy? But the reason I bring that up is because people started speculating that, is Bungie coming back home? why else would Phil Spencer stream Destiny 2 with the CEO of Bungie? And he says in his tweets that, he likes to, it's fun to be back playing Destiny with his friends. Friends, what does that mean, Jez?
I've heard that Phil and the head of Bungie is super close. By the way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. I've always heard that Phil's extremely close to the people at Bungie.
That like, for those that don't know, Bungie is like literally down the road from Microsoft HQ in Seattle, so they hang out, of course, and all that stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are some sort of talks going on behind the scenes for that
Microsoft,
sort of stuff.
You think after the stream, Phil's just like, hey, come on, how about we make this happen, right? For old times' sake.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised. I mean, clearly Bungie, they've got ambitions that way outstrip being independent, right? That's why they're through in their lot with Activision. That's why they're through in their lot with Microsoft originally. They're a massive studio with huge overheads. They can't be in a situation where they have cash flow problem. So they are probably looking to cut a deal with some publisher. And I think it makes so much sense for them to cut a deal with Microsoft because just on the basis of pure logistics, they're literally in the same town, So I think I don't want to hint that I know something or something like that because I don't. This is pure guesswork. But what people say is there's no smoke without fire, right? I would honestly not be surprised if there is some kind of behind the scenes talks going on.
So just like you wouldn't be surprised if Sony and Remedy became partners? Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised. Even if it's not a full-blown buyout, some kind of deal similar to what they did with Activision, like a publishing deal or something like that. Because I don't think it's kind of like Respawn, like Respawn Entertainment. Their ambitions far outstripped being an indie dev. So they threw in a lot with EA because it's like we want to make games on this kind of scale, which means we need this kind of cash flow. The only way we can have that kind of cash flow is to be with a publisher or have some kind of deal, a big publishing deal with one of these publishers. And Bungie's floating right now, and I know Bungie's got investment from a lot of different companies. I think is even Tencent invested in Bungie.
Well, so somebody just posted up top the Thanaros. He said that Bungie's not owned by Nestes or whatever the Chinese company is called.
Oh, okay. Bungie's not owned by
NetEase. Owned, but Nestes did invest $50 million.
Yeah, NetEase invested in Bungie, but there's absolutely no reason why Microsoft couldn't buy out that investment. Bungie's not owned by NetEase; they're still independent, and there's nothing that suggests Microsoft couldn't buy out that investment if the right deal was cut, And at the end of the day, because Bungie's still an independent company, NetEase would probably, if the money was right, they'd probably let them out of whatever contract they've got, because ultimately they'd want the company to be happy. And it's kind of like why Activision let Bungie go free more relatively easily and painlessly, because there's nothing to be gained by forcing a dev to do your bidding if there's so much disagreement, because if you do that you end up becoming a studio killer like EA, So it is what it is. Speaking of studio killers, I've heard a lot of developers from Respawn have been fleeing back to Infinity Ward recently.
Really?
Have you heard that?
I have not, but I haven't really asked anybody. So people are leaving. Well, what is it? The Star Wars project they have that's coming out this year. They were supposed to do Titanfall 3, right? That got delayed once Apex Legends hit it big. So do you think they put Titanfall 3 on indefinite hiatus so people are just like, we're out of here, going back to Infinity Ward?
I don't know. I'm still sort of looking into it, and it could just be like regular turnover. People tend to blow these sort of things out of control, but it does seem like a lot of developers from Respawn that left in the initial split have found their way back to Infinity Ward and stuff over the years. I don't know. What do you think of it? There's the Call of Duty beta going. Have you tried it? Are you interested in that? Modern Warfare Remastered?
I'm
Not
interested.
remastered.
I'm interested in playing.
Rebooted.
I'm interested in playing the campaign.
Oh yeah, you're one of those that like Call of
Yeah.
Duty campaign.
Why do I care about Call of Duty multiplayer?
Because the multiplayer is the only good thing about Call of Duty.
No, the only good thing about Call of Duty has been the campaign, and they took it out of last year's game, which is why it was the first Call of Duty I didn't play in like
The
I
campaigns
don't know
are
how
awful.
long.
Oh my god. I can't believe you play Call of Duty for the campaign. That's so weird to me.
Why? How's that weird?
Because they're really boring and bland.
Well, you obviously didn't play Modern Warfare, the first one, or Modern Warfare 2, or Infinite Warfare,
I did actually.
or Black Ops
For-
1 or
the
2.
the original Modern Warfare campaign is the only one I completed, and it was nothing special. Like, yeah, okay, it had the whole Pripyat level, which was vaguely interesting, and then the whole, it had some cool set pieces, but they were just set pieces, man. I can watch set pieces on YouTube.
Jez,
What about that gameplay? The gameplay was
the
not
campaigns are so
interesting.
much better in Monster Hunter, though. I don't understand.
I don't even agree with that. That's not even true.
I just don't
In
care
Monster,
about.
in Monster Hunter, I get a cute cat as a companion. Do I get a cute cat as a companion in Call of Duty? I don't think so.
Look, I'm not saying I won't play Modern Warfare's multiplayer, but I won't play it for long. I mean, I'll probably play a few games, but I'm interested in the campaign of Call of Duty. I don't care about the multiplayer. But we didn't even finish what I want to talk about with Phil Spencer. You moved on so quick, Jess, so fast.
Oh, I did. I segued.
Well, yeah.
Go on then.
I mean, as far as like the Bungie thing, like I wouldn't be surprised. Like you wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think it'll happen. You know, I'm sure Phil or whatever has probably talked about it with them.
I can see some kind of publishing deal maybe.
See, yeah, I could see that, and that's something I could see that's going to happen with Remedy and Sony. I know a lot of people think Sony is going to buy Remedy, and maybe that's a possibility. I think Sony is going to hire Remedy to do a PS5 exclusive, like a publishing deal for a game, right? But during the live stream, Phil basically said this was the first week he actually got to play games on Scarlett.
Damn.
Which I love how he does this, because it's like one of those things where it's like nobody's talking about Scarlett because there's not a lot of news. And you get some stupid like little quotes from developers like, oh, the SSD is going to be super fast, right? And it's like, okay, yeah, well, yeah, SSD is super fast. Or then you got like the Gears 5 guy basically saying, well, Scarlett's got ray tracing cores and actual cores for it, and people run with that. But yeah, Phil was saying he played Scarlett, and it's like it's not really that much surprise, because obviously someone's got to be playing Scarlett at some point. I mean, we are a year away from all this happening, so
it's gonna start ramping up towards the end of the year, towards next year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, XO's coming at the end of the year, 2 months from now. Then you have like E3. The question I have is like, here's the thing about Scarlett that I was thinking about. I think Sony is going to copy what they did with the PlayStation 4, meaning early 2020, February, they'll have a media briefing in New York where they officially veil the system. And then, of course, they go to E3, and you have the big blowout. System comes out at the end of the year. Now, will Microsoft match? And by match, I mean, will they have an official Scarlett reveal March of next year, like they did for the Xbox One? Or will you just hold everything until E3 2020 and then just launch it at the end of the year?
I suppose it depends on how many games they've got to show. Because, I think Phil Spencer prefers to do games at E3, hardware elsewhere. So, I suppose it depends how many games they've got. If they've got a lot of games to show off, I can see them sticking E3 to games. I don't know.
Right. Joe Taylor wants to know, Rand and Jez, Clobro mentioned on Reset Era he expected a Hello Games acquisition announcement in E3. Do you think that's a possibility for XO19?
Maybe. But, it depends on what their next game is, because they've stopped. No Man's Sky is at the end now. They're not doing any more content or no more big expansions on it, if I understand correctly. So that means they're working on something new. So I think the only reason like Microsoft would take them on is if like their new game was particularly interesting. Hello?
Yeah, I was expecting you to say something after it, but yeah, I kind of agree with you on that. Be kind of I mean, Hello Games did turn around No Man's Sky quite a bit from what it once was.
Yeah, they did.
But yeah,
So that credit.
And I know I mentioned Remedy earlier. Did you see by chance their layout of the content coming for Control up until next year?
I did, and the big point everyone was talking about was the Alan Wake tie-in, possibly.
Yeah, so there's an expansion coming in 2020. It's called AWE, which in Control means Altered World Event. But the top half of the image is literally Alan Wake with his flashlight in a forest. So, Jez, I can't help but think Alan Wake 2 is going to happen at some point now. Like they mention Alan Wake so many times in Control. There's literally like 4 collectibles about it. He's actually in the game. There's a place you can go to where he actually is on the typewriter, like an image on the wall where he's actually speaking. Now it looks like one of the expansions is somehow going to be related to him, judging, because dude, you can't do that to people. You can't have an image like that with clear iconography from Alan Wake and then not have it be about Alan Wake.
I just hope it's not lame. I just
Right.
hope it's actually like something cool or something good and not just like cashing in on that fandom or something. I don't know.
But
because there's so many ways that could be lame.
But I just have this feeling that I know they got the publishing rights back to Alan Wake, which, I mean, it didn't mean that they couldn't do Alan Wake 2. It just mean they can put Alan Wake 1 on whatever console they want to. So presumably the PlayStation 4 or the PlayStation 5 if they wanted to, right?
Yeah.
But
I think like there's no way they're bothered getting the publishing rights if they're not planning on making a sequel.
Right, so that was my thing. So it's like they do this sequel, or they do this like expansion where the last one for Control is some thing where she goes to Bright Falls and there's Alan Wake, and it leads into Alan Wake 2, which is PlayStation 5 exclusive, published by Sony Interactive Entertainment.
I can see that happening.
Like that would
pretty depressing.
I want an Alan Wake 2. I don't care who publishes it. I'll get it as long as it's not a mobile phone game. So
you're telling me you're not gonna get the Sam Fisher mobile game?
No, I will not get a Sam Fisher mobile phone game at all.
Oh man,
it doesn't exist to me. It doesn't exist.
I was hoping you'd review it.
No. Well, speaking of Apple and mobile, did you see Apple finally kind of took the thing off the revealed like Apple Arcade or whatever?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? What do you think about Apple Arcade?
I think Apple aren't serious at all about gaming. That's what I think.
You don't think they're serious whatsoever?
Nah, I think Apple are a joke.
Whoa.
Personally.
You're probably about to anchor half the people in this podcast because you think console wars are serious. Go out there and say you like iPhones and just wait for the Android users to flood your mentions.
Yeah. But no, like seriously, like their lineup's awful. They ain't serious about gaming. Like I'm sure the games are like pretty okay for mobile games or whatever, but come on, man, they ain't serious.
Yeah, but you can now like pair your Xbox controller or your PlayStation controller with your phone or
nobody's gonna subscribe to that. Except the only people who are gonna subscribe to that are the most hardcore Apple fanboys, like the people who write for imore.com, for example. Yeah, no normal person's gonna subscribe to that.
Shout out to Dark Knight for the super chat. He says, "Sorry, I'm late, chaps. Shall replay straight away when we finish." Thanks for the support, buddy. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
Apple Arcade. It is cheap though. It is definitely. It's like $5 a month, and you can play up to 100 games or whatever. It's like it's super cheap to get into.
It should be cheap, man.
But you know, I started noticing a lot of the press releases were like launching on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Apple Arcade, or PlayStation 4, Switch, and Apple Arcade. Like they started using Apple Arcade as like a thing in the press releases for what it is. You know what I mean? Apple
Cracks
Arcade.
me up, man. It cracks me up whenever you see like a game say, "Oh, we're releasing for Google Stadia." Like the platform's not even proven yet.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So Google Stadia, that's another good segue. So Google Stadia is the when is that supposed to launch, Jez? They said
I don't
2019.
know.
It's September 13th. When is Google Stadia actually coming out? For the
I
people
don't
that bought
know.
that Founders Edition, the $150 thing. When are people actually gonna get their hands on Stadia?
I don't know, man. I don't follow that.
Okay, since you don't
You
know
might as
anything
well,
about that, what do you
you
think
might as
about?
well be following some sort of magical fairy thing that doesn't exist. You know.
What do you think about EA announcing their own cloud gaming platform this week?
I thought that was comical, given how bad the Battlefield servers often are. You know, that's just funny. It's just funny to me. Like, what? Why even bother? You know?
So let me ask you this
It's
question. Let me ask you this question.
sure.
Would all right? So if
I'm being
EA
pretty
has their,
negative right now.
if EA has their own cloud gaming platform, right now in the trial, I think you can stream Titanfall 2, Unravel, and I've two other games I'm not sure off the top of my head. Right now, if they're doing their own thing, like full on cloud gaming thing, let's say I buy an Xbox game. Let's say I'm on Xbox and I buy an EA game. Am I not gonna be allowed to stream it via Project xCloud because EA, you know, has their own streaming thing? So will they not allow Microsoft Xbox users or PlayStation users to stream EA games because that's what their
Well,
cloud gaming platform is going to be
they
for?
can't. They can't stop us streaming from using it as a local server
True, like the
because
remote play
that's
stuff. Yeah.
that's our content. But like when it comes to the cloud stuff, Microsoft's cloud, that's when things will get murky, I guess. But it's gonna be like Ouya. They'll do it for a little while and then they'll realize actually this cloud gaming stuff's really hard. I don't know why we even try it, considering we can barely make service for Battlefield. So and then they'll come crawling back to Sony and Microsoft and be like, please can we put your games on your cloud platforms? Because ours is a joke. That's how I expect it to go down for EA.
Do you think there'd be too many of these companies doing cloud gaming, or they kind of like saturate the market very much like all these subscription services?
Yep, I think that's the thing too. Like, why would I subscribe to EA's crap when I can get like xCloud, which is like the real deal, you know? I don't know. They're all thinking like all these companies with more money than sense. They're all thinking, let's try this before it becomes a thing. Let's try this, you know. Let's try and get into this before like while we've got a chance. But it ain't gonna happen for them because you need a massive cloud infrastructure to make it work. You know, you either need to pay Microsoft or Amazon the money to piggyback on their platform. Like Netflix runs on Amazon's platform, for example.
Yes.
You can't just magic servers out of nowhere. And evidently, you know, given how bad EA generally seems to be with servers and technology like that, I don't know whether they're even bothering. So, it is what it is. Silly boys will be silly. I got no faith in that stuff. The only players who can really give this a real go are Google, Microsoft, and Amazon, really, in the West. So, I don't expect anything from EA unless they're using Microsoft or Amazon tech to do it. Personally. But whatever.
No, so
Whatever, man.
So Shady says games released on Xbox, I'm sure have in their contract that'll be streamable. Actually, I think Bill Stillwell or somebody else came out and said that wasn't in any of the contracts.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that'd be something that has to be renegotiated for the future, but it's not in any of the contracts previously. D.I. Almighty Spartan God says Game Pass is a trap. We must own our shit. Well, I'd agree with you if there were games launching only, and I mean only on Game Pass, where the only way to play the game is through a subscription service. Until that day happens, nobody's preventing you from buying Gears of War either digitally or retail or any other game. Like so far right now, Game Pass is literally all the games on Game Pass you can buy digitally or buy at retail. So unless that happens down the road, then yeah, if everything becomes, but here's the thing: I can't see there being a situation where a game is just exclusive to Game Pass and you can't get it anywhere else. Can you, Jez?
No,
I
I can't see that situation happening, especially because Microsoft are like, they're all about like, choice and whatever. I don't think Phil would. I mean, maybe in the future, one day, but I don't think that's what Phil's about. It's all about giving people a choice about how they want to do it. And it's about what the market chooses. Because something interesting happened in the music industry this week. Vinyl overtook CDs for the first time since the 80s. Did you see this? And that's because like vinyl started to offer a lot of value. Like basically like the vinyl versions of music often comes with like extra inserts and posters and all this extra stuff, basically like little mini collector's editions. And if you're passionate about the medium, you want to collect stuff. And I don't think that'll go away for games either. But like modern day games, they don't even include an instruction manual, So like it kind of feels like you're getting less value for what you pay. You might as well just get it digitally. All you're paying for really is the inconvenience of having to put the disc in. So, I don't know. Things are stuff like this is cyclical. It comes around in cycles. Like everyone might be on this digital hype train now. But you never know. Like it might resurge that everyone suddenly wants to go back to discs again.
Yeah, well, like CDs outselling, or like vinyl outselling CDs, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your
I don't know.
one of your favorite games, Sea of Thieves, finally added pets and real
One of my
money
favorite-
currency. Finally to the game. So
Yeah.
people hold on, something I want to talk about because Gears 5 has this. So Gears ditched the loot boxes from 4, which is good. Like loot boxes bad. I don't mind buying like the thing with the loot boxes was I hated it was just a chance to get something. Like, just let me be able to buy what I want to buy and that's it. But obviously they want people to engage with it and spend all this money and it's all just whatever. So they got rid of it, right? So now you can buy what you want. You buy a set amount of iron and the iron can get you a set amount of things. Same thing with Sea of Thieves, right? It has the real, I think, ancient coins you can buy in the shop. But they even say you can, like, kill ancient skeletons in the world and actually get, like, coins, like, that you can then spend on stuff. But looking at some of the prices on this digital stuff, it's outrageous. Like,
someone on Windows Central worked out that if you wanted to collect every single skin in Gears of War this is just the exclusive stuff from the cookies and all that other stuff, you'd have to spend like $1,700.
well, it's not even that. I was more looking at, like, the store, and it was like, it was one costume for one.
No,
of
but my point was is that they're seeing like cosmetics, the upsell on cosmetics as a way to replace loot boxes. So like people said they didn't want gambling loot boxes, fine, but instead they're gonna like start offering way more of these sort of exclusive limited edition cosmetics and skins that cost like a load of money. Like I saw Fallout 76 recently added a $7 fridge to the game.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
So like, and there is one game that has pioneered this sort of thing, Star Citizen, which isn't even out yet, but sells like unique ships for like hundreds of dollars, and people pay for it because sometimes people want to be unique and special, and that's what's going to replace loot boxes to avoid gambling legislation, stuff like that.
Yeah.
People will pay it. People will pay it.
In the Gear store, for instance, like there's one skin, like the island skin for one of the characters from Escape is 1,000 iron, which is $10. Man, $10 for the skin, and then it was like a blood spray was like 500 iron, which is $5. And you're like, man, that's $5 for that. And then it was like in one of the daily deals or one of the big deals, it was five legendary skins for like your Nasher, your pistol, your Lancer, like a execution, a taunt, and a blood spray, and it was 2,500 iron. It's $25. I sat there. I was like, wait a minute.
They're all cosmetic.
It's all cosmetic, and it has no game-changing stuff whatsoever. Which is, I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'll never spend a single dime on any of this stuff at all because it's number one, it doesn't really look that cool anyways. Number two, I'm not spending $25 on just digital trash like that. But man, they really.
Why are you mad about it then?
Well, no, because it's just. It's just so out of whack. I don't understand why it's so much. Is it so much just because like it can be so much?
It's market forces at work, you know.
So if nobody buys it, then eventually they lower the prices.
Maybe.
Or maybe because Fortnite, when they was like, hey, everybody will just pay $20 to buy a skin. I don't know. Like, have it if you want, have it in your game, and it's all cosmetic. Go right ahead, because you'll never get a dime from me. You know, I know other people will spend stuff, but then you get like flags, Jed, like the flags, like the country flags. If you want to like, hey, I want to have my U.S. flag behind me or my Mexican flag, it's 700 iron, and that's like $5 or whatever. The problem is with that, there was a time where that stuff was free. You could just make it like that, and now it's like even flags you have to pay for. I think sometimes they go out of their way to kind of lock things behind a paywall for certain things that you used to be able to get for free, and then they lock everything else behind supply drops. So you got to log in every single day to get free stuff, but you don't know what you're gonna get or complete those challenges. It's all about interacting, logging in, completing matches. You get stuff. Doing the challenges, specific things, you get stuff. But none of this stuff really looks that interesting. So it's like, number one, I don't want to do any of this stuff because it's not that interesting. And then number two, it's like, it's way too expensive. Why would I buy a $25 worth of digital stuff when the entire game only costs $60? I don't know. Maybe here, you know what it is? It's because the game itself is $60. But then I see a couple digital skins that are literally half price of the game. And it just makes me raise my eyebrows.
I am kind of playing devil's advocate here, because it is weird that we live in a time where I remember when Capcom caught a load of crap a million years ago. Capcom caught a load of crap because they bundled. They had like skins that were on the disc for Street Fighter 4 or 5. I can't remember which. But then they sold them as separate DLC. And they caught a load of shit for that. Because it was kind of like, oh my god, day one DLC and it's on the disc, They caught a load of flack for that. But it's pretty much the norm now. What will ultimately make it worthwhile is the service they provide on top of that value for money. Because everyone's going to get free maps. Everyone's going to get free modes. And they've announced what their roadmap is. The people working on those features need to get paid. And they deserve to get paid. So the only way you can cash flow their wages is to have these sort of service items. You don't have to buy in, but you're still going to get the free stuff. So it's kind of like, where do you stand on that, Personally, I'm fine with it. And I've gotten 320 hours out of Monster Hunter World, which kind of feels like more than my money's worth for the $60 that I paid for the base game. And I've bought a load of the cosmetic stuff that they sell on top of that. Like there's like emotes and stickers and outfits for your cat and stuff like that in the game. I'm happy to buy that because I'm happy to support the devs because they've provided me with so much stuff and so much fun, hundreds of hours of gameplay between me and my friends and my brothers and stuff like that. So it ultimately depends on, is the service that they offer going to make all that stuff worthwhile? Because I'll tell you another game that hasn't delivered very well, and that's Battlefield 5. Like I see like the Battlefield 5 subreddit is constantly angry because EA is cutting content, they've been late on delivering maps they promised, and they've altered their roadmap. They did it for Anthem 2, they altered the roadmap, and and Star Wars, you got all the stuff with Star Wars Battlefront 2, all that stuff that happened. And eventually Star Wars Battlefront turned it around a bit, and they found a fan base, and they've actually started delivering content for Battlefront 2 now. But it feels like because of that, Battlefield 5 has suffered, and it isn't getting the sort of service attention that the fan base feels like it needs when they're selling so much cosmetic stuff in the store. So it's complicated, man.
Yeah.
It's about like managing your audience, managing their expectations, and also providing a good service. And then I think like you earn the right to sell that stuff. Personally, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, Nine Lives says DLC and new maps will be free. And yeah, that's what they said. Everything will be free, like new content and stuff like that. But there is that kind of but, because you mentioned Battlefield 5, Jez.
But
right? You mentioned Battlefield 5. You ever taken a look to see how many maps were in Battlefield 1 versus how many maps are in Battlefield 5?
I haven't, but I can guess that it's not good.
So, but that's the difference between offering a season pass or paid for DLC and then saying everything is free, right? Because if you look at Gears 4 had a season pass. They added 2 maps a month for an entire year. They added 24 maps. Do you think Gears 5 is going to add 24 maps in its life cycle? Something tells me no. Something tells me it's not even going to reach half of what they did, right? 12. It's going to be like 12 maps. Maybe even less than that. Battlefield 1, like I mentioned, I think they had 16 new maps because it was 4 content drops of 4 maps apiece. And in Battlefield 5, I think they've added like 3 maps, Jez. See, I think...
See, I've bought Battlefield Premium every single year since they introduced it. I think they introduced it in Battlefield... I want to say Battlefield Bad Company 2, or maybe they introduced it in Battlefield 3. But I bought it every year because I thought it offered a load of money. And the thing is, when you buy a season pass, they've already cash flowed that content, so you can guarantee that it's going to come. But if nobody's buying the cosmetics, that means they can't cash flow all the developers, which means they can't deliver on their roadmap. And it's weird, and people complain and they say like, "Oh, we hate season passes," and it sucks because it does divide up the player base, so that is an issue.
Well, yes, that's the choice. Do you want to pay for a season pass, which will get you the content, right, but cuts off some of the user base, or do you want everything to be free and you're not going to get a lot of content, but the stuff that you do get will be playable by everybody? So that's kind of the choice people have to make. And, for EA's things, like Battlefield 5 underperformed, they probably pulled all their resources from that. To them, it's like, why would we invest more money in Battlefield 5, making new maps and all this stuff, when we'll just make a new game? So for EA, and for DICE, it probably doesn't make a whole lot of financial sense to do it. If the game was doing really good, it'd probably be like, all right, spend more money because we'll be able to recoup more money. So make more maps, make more cosmetics, get more people playing the game. But it's, it probably just wasn't financially viable for them to do it, or,
It's chicken and egg, I think like Battlefront 2 survived purely on the basis that it's Star Wars. And that fan base is obviously really passionate, and they stuck with Battlefront 2 even during its dark times. And because they stuck with it, EA was able to fund more development for it, which is why they've got loads of maps, and they got General Grievous, which no one thought was going to come, and stuff like that. And obviously they've got added incentive because they don't want to piss off Disney, which is the last company you really want to piss off. So, but when it comes to Battlefield 5, there's just less incentive because they haven't been able to cash flow the maps because there's no season pass. Nobody's buying the cosmetics because they're lame. and they've got to keep it sort of grounded in World War II. And the problem with that is, if they're keeping it grounded in World War II, they can't really do anything particularly wild and interesting because it's got to stay grounded within that sort of time period. So Battlefield 5 has suffered a lot from not having the season pass, I think. But then you get to the point where you have a split player base and stuff like that, and it's tough, man. I like service games. I like playing games for hundreds of hours. I like fixating on one thing and really digging into it, So I don't mind paying to cash flow that stuff. So I subscribed to World of Warcraft for years because they delivered so much for that subscription that it was worth doing, in my opinion.
Right. Jez, Ermi wants to know thoughts on NHL devs stating the PS5 and Scarlett will both be always online.
Oh.
Do you think that's something
The
they
thing
could
is,
get? Actually,
we're virtually in that situation right now. Someone on Windows Central wrote an editorial recently, when I was on vacation, that was essentially like Xbox Live was down. And when Xbox Live was down, he couldn't log into his console. And because he couldn't log into his console, he couldn't access Netflix, he couldn't access like YouTube and like all the stuff that you should be able to access when Xbox Live is down. He couldn't access it.
well,
So
I
like,
mean, if Xbox Live is down, I don't think you can access Netflix. you know?
well, that's the thing. Like, why not? If I should be able to access Netflix because it's not an Xbox Live service.
Oh, so you're saying that he should still be able to access Netflix with the not like as long as he was online?
Yeah, like the argument for console not always being online is that you won't be able to use it when Xbox Live is down, right? I mean, that's the central argument.
Right, but the system can't get online, period. So if the system's not online, how are you going to be able to access Netflix?
Well, yeah. But like that's not the point I was making, but it's just like my point was that we're pretty much already there where the console's so dependent on being online.
True.
But it might as well already be the case,
I mean, yeah, a lot of what the console can do is based on the fact that it's always online, and we are at that point now where most everybody's online. Just obviously it's just an interesting thing if it does happen, because you have like what happened in 2013 where you have Xbox being like always online 24-hour check-in, and then Sony being like nah, sorry, and we saw how that played out. So
it's like Apple TV is always online, right? My TV is always online.
well,
Times have changed. I think like if both of them do it, then people just have to get over it. Because I honestly I don't
Stadia's got to
know.
be online, right?
Yeah. I don't know. People like feel like they're losing something, but like I don't know a single person who uses Xbox offline. I don't know a single person who uses PlayStation offline. Like, do these people even exist, or are people just feeling like they're gonna lose something?
Well, so Swagboy wants to know, question, can you access any of the games you own if Xbox Live is down? Of course. There's a setting in the console you can go to set the console to offline.
Yeah.
And if it's having issues, you can play everything offline. Now, if you're game sharing, you'll be able to access. This is when it becomes weird. So, if I'm offline, I can only play the games my buddy has bought. Because, like I said, the licenses are to the gamer tag that bought it and to the home console. So, because my home console is my buddy's, and I buy a game, I can't play it on my Xbox because my home console is his. But that means I can play his games, because his home console is mine. But yeah, if you're not game sharing and you have full control, you set your system offline, you can play everything offline. So it's, so I think a lot of the issue was that like, because even on Friday when I tried getting on to Xbox, it wouldn't log me in. Like I couldn't get online and it wouldn't log me into my profile. So I couldn't even log into my profile offline. So I mean, I didn't try to set it to offline and do that, but yeah. But I mean, I think you are right. I think 6 years, I think people have changed enough where people are more accepting not only of digital downloads but also of subscription services.
Both of them have to do it.
If both of them do it, then
if one doesn't do it, and if one does it and the other one doesn't, then we're going to end up in the same situation where one of them looks bad. even though it doesn't mean anything really.
Yeah, pretty much. So you know what? I think that's a good topic to end the show on. Since we're getting close to the 2-hour mark, I want to thank everybody for hanging out and chatting in there, and everybody for the super chats. We'd appreciate it. Check this out later if you're watching on iTunes or Google Play. And Jez actually put it on Spotify now.
Yes, I did, and thanks to the chap on Twitter who told me how to do it. Because the last time I looked into this, Spotify required you to have a publisher, but they've changed it now where they'll accept any podcast. So that's pretty cool.
So if you want to listen to the podcast now on Spotify, you can do so. They'll usually be uploaded a day or two after the podcast is over. So if you enjoyed the show, make sure you hit the like button and all that stuff, and subscribe to the channel, follow Jez. But before we get out of here, we'll take some questions, as we always do. So hit us up with some questions, and then we'll let everybody get on with their day. Borderlands 3 tonight. It's pretty cool. Spotify. What are we on now? Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes,
Google Play,
Google
podcasts.
Play. Yeah.
All major podcasting apps. Just search for Xbox 2, Rand and Jez, I think, and you'll find it. But yeah, let's get some questions on the go.
Jez, I kind of want to play Borderlands 3 with you.
That'd be cool.
No, because you were trashing it. You were like, the humor's so dumb.
Well, the gameplay is decent, so I can just ignore the humor, I guess.
Ermi wants to know, what did Phil Spencer play on Scarlett? Probably Destiny 2.
Yeah, maybe.
Knowing him, probably Destiny 2.
It's probably it's probably like one of the, it might have been Gears 5 or something like that. Games that like use the latest tech and scale and have that sort of stuff. Because I'm still like I'm expecting like games to just have a Scarlett mode to start with. I don't think they're going to try and force people to switch. So it's probably Gears 5.
Yeah, Greg wants to know the Outer Worlds. Looking forward to it. Actually, yeah, kind of. I'm going to play Modern Warfare first because I'm going to buy that game, and Outer Worlds is in Game Pass. But yeah, I'm excited to check out what Obsidian's how they're doing with that game.
I was actually going to ask you, Rand, what is the next big game you're looking forward to?
The next big game that I'm like really looking forward to is probably Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Like, I'm gonna play Ghost Recon Breakpoint, but I'm not really that excited for it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it just feels
Call
like
of Duty.
Like this is a problem with Ubisoft. People say like, oh, it's just another Gears. Mm-hmm. Ubisoft has this problem where it's like, oh, it's just another Ubisoft game.
It's just Ubisoft.
Like every single Ubisoft open world started to bleed together. Like that's a problem for them, because I've honestly got Ubi fatigue, if that's a thing.
No, I get you. I mean, a lot of their games are becoming very similar. A lot of them have the same stuff: tiered loot, leveled enemies, stuff like that. Like things that were only in Assassin's Creed Odyssey are now in Ghost Recon, which are now in Far Cry. So it seems like they're the same stuff. Yeah. Gunstar wants to know, cloud controller adapter at XO19? Question mark. Like officially made by Xbox, you mean? Maybe. I mean, we're supposed to get the beta here, in October?
Well, there is a Surface event in October, and I'll have you know, Satya Nadella is going to be there, which is not usual for Satya to be at a Surface event, and they're announcing more than just laptops at this event. So I think that could be potentially some xCloudy things weaved in there.
Is Phil Spencer going to be there?
I don't know. Because
I mean, it'd be a little bit different if Phil was there to announce something, because then it's Xbox related. But with Satya being there, it could be anything.
Yeah, but like if they are doing some kind of controller adapter sort of thing, that the Surface team probably going to have been involved, right?
Yeah, probably. So Thanaros wants to know, is Gears Tactics this year too? I would say at this point, no, that game's 2020.
Yeah, I don't think it's this year.
I don't think
I think
Microsoft has another game coming out this year. I mean, I know Outer Worlds is Obsidian and their Xbox Game Studio. Technically, it's a private division game, but I'm pretty sure Microsoft doesn't have a game coming out the rest of this year. So look, they got a whole bunch of games coming out early next year, though. And it's the first year there's no Forza.
Yeah,
No Forza Motorsport.
That's a good thing. It
Okay,
means like
so I got a question for you, Jez.
Go on.
Okay, so we know Forza Motorsport's not this year, and I think we both have heard that Forza Motorsport probably isn't even next year either, right? They're giving them a lot of time to create the next Motorsport, so maybe be 2021. If that's the case, do you think Forza Horizon 5 is next year? Now we have,
honestly, I think they might let them. Oh God, I don't know.
Well, okay, let me ask you this, because we've heard that they are giving time to the Motorsport team, Turn 10, right? But we haven't heard anything about them giving time to the Forza Horizon team at Playground. We know Playground's staffing up for the second studio. Now, they're launching Scarlett with Halo Infinite. And I was thinking, you know what? What if they also launch Scarlett with Halo Infinite and Forza Horizon 5? Like, because then if you think, it's like, okay, well, if they
That'd
don't...
be a pretty solid lineup.
Well, yeah, and then if they don't, so say there is no Forza game next year, that means Motorsports 2021, Horizon would be 2022. That'd be 4 years from when Horizon 4 first came out, because that came out last year in 2018. I don't know, like, I'm starting to kind of think...
Nah, I think there will be a Horizon next year, because at that point, the car manufacturers will be like, yo, where's our advertising?
Well, there's probably a Gran Turismo 7 next year. I would imagine there's a launch title, for the PlayStation 5. I don't know. I'm starting to kind of think that there's going to be... I was kind of hoping Forza Horizon was going to take some time. Because 4, as good as 4 is, it really did feel a lot like 3. But I'm starting to kind of feel like, you know what? They're probably just going to launch Scarlett with Halo Infinite and Forza Horizon. I mean, that's like 2 absolutely huge games. And then they'll be both being Game
Wasteland
Pass.
3!
Huh?
Wasteland 3, man. Wasteland 3.
You and your Wasteland 3
Yeah, man.
stuff.
Wasteland 3, yeah, boy.
Vasilios Papalagragras, I know I said that wrong. He wants to know what's the name of the channel on Spotify. The link's in the description. I'm pretty sure I put it there, but I probably, like Jez said, just search Xbox 2 or the Xbox 2. I think it'll come up, right?
Yeah, just Xbox 2, I think. Maybe it is the Xbox 2. Just search Xbox 2 and it should be there.
So Ermi wants to know thoughts on PlayStation's latest exclusive Flowers Are Dead. Heard it might overtake Life of Black Flower. I haven't heard anything about a game called Flowers Are Dead. I know Life of Black Tiger is supposed to be some like one of the worst games ever, but
what is
Life of Black Tiger?
I've never heard of that game.
Yeah, I've never heard of Flowers Are Dead. Do you think that we're going to see VR or mixed reality gaming is going to come on Project Scarlett? This is always a question that people want to know.
I think no.
You don't think so? I don't think so either.
I don't think Xbox believes in that stuff, and the bottom line is VR has not shown itself to be a moneymaker. And I don't care what anyone says about PlayStation VR selling or whatever. To quote someone in the industry, and this is actually Matt from MPD who said this. He said that the sell-through on VR in everything from games to hardware could amount to a rounding anomaly on a spreadsheet. It's that small.
Yeah.
So honestly, until the VR industry shows that it can make any money, I don't think Microsoft's going to touch it. Like their R&D for VR is so minimal. It's like absolutely as low as you could imagine. And until they've shown it can make money, they're not going to touch it. And it's just the numbers ain't there, Yeah.
So El Anamenapino wants to know, no fishing in Death Stranding? ?
They're baby.
Or else that's a 7 out of 10 for Jez instead of a 10 out of 10.
You know what game does have fishing?
What? What game has fishing?
Monster Hunter World.
Oh, okay. Do you fish Monster Hunter fishes? Like, are they like huge fishes?
Uh, there's some pretty big fishes, man.
Hmm.
Not gonna lie.
Let's see. Ryan Bruce wants to know if either of us play retro games.
Uh, hmm. The last retro-ish game that I played was Sonic Mania, and I really, really liked that. But I didn't finish it, admittedly, because it was kind of like, yeah, not super epic or whatever. It's funny enough that I've completely skipped the WoW Classic craze. Speaking of retro,
Yeah,
I don't know why. Like, did you see that blow up on Twitch? The most watched Twitch game ever.
yeah, World of Warcraft
Yeah,
Classic or
World of
whatever.
Warcraft Classic.
That looks like
I,
poo. I don't know why anybody would play that game. It looks boring as hell.
I just couldn't do it, man. I started the game up and I was just like, I don't want to go through this again. And I'm a guy who's got like 10,000 hours played in World of Warcraft. I just couldn't be bothered, man. It's kind of like I've been there, done this, done it to death. I don't need to do this again.
Right.
So I just uninstalled it.
Nine Lives
Sadly.
wants to know: do you think Xbox One games will get an enhanced patch on Scarlett? Yeah, I think some of them will, for sure. I think like Gears will and stuff. I think it's going to be very similar to the Xbox One X. Some games will. Maybe the X Scarlett's so powerful that every game is just automatically enhanced.
I think um I will say that like I know the Scarlett has the same sort of back-end systems as the Xbox One. So like there's totally like scope for scalability on some games there. Like some games that have unfixed frame rates, like for example, Monster Hunter World, I presume will benefit from Scarlett out of the box because it just like the frame rate on Monster Hunter World on Xbox is all over the place because of because of the power of the console. But I presume like if it'll work, it'll just be better on Scarlett again, just like games were better automatically on Xbox One X, just because of the way the system is. I totally expect that of Scarlett.
Hmm.
But like for a lot of games, some games with fixed resolution or fixed frame rates would need patches to get that experience. And I suppose it depends on how many people buy Scarlett and how many people are playing on those systems. I'm sure a lot of companies will just think if it's easy enough to do, they'll probably just be like, yeah, we want to see how good our game will look on this system and just, throw it in there. Like even if not a lot of people have bought Scarlett yet. I think some devs will just do it for the sake of the art. But we'll see. We'll see what happens because remember, like that was a whole big thing about the X is like we've got 100 Xbox One X enhanced games now and stuff like that. And for a while, like every time a game got an Xbox One X enhancement, it was like big news. So
Yeah.
maybe that'll be the same again for Scarlett. I would certainly hope so.
Yeah. Last question from Swag Boy. What other games are you guys getting that's coming out the rest of this year? Well, geez, I just got Borderlands. I'll probably get Surge 2. Um, I'll get Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I'll get Outer Worlds. I get Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I'll get Concrete Genie. I'll get Death Stranding. I'll get Star Wars. I'll get Doom Eternal. Might even get Need for Speed Heat. I usually get
So
everything, man.
I'm only interested really in Outer Worlds and Doom Eternal.
Well, I
Oh, and
mean, interested but in getting
Pokemon.
I'll get everything. Like that's the thing. Like I'll pretty much buy and play everything.
Mm,
I'm not one of those people that don't play anything and run a gaming channel. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
So I get like I try to do this thing because like when you like work in this industry, there's this sort of like convention where you play a game as long as you're writing about it and then you move on and forget all about it. I can't do that. Like I really get fixated on a single game. Like if you've listened to the podcast, you probably tell. Like I've got to play Monster Hunter to death now until I'm completely bored of it. So I love my service games because I really like getting into stuff. So on that basis, I'll probably only play like the Outer Worlds and Doom Eternal because I'm big fans of those franchises. But beyond that, there isn't a huge amount of stuff that's super interesting to me this year.
mm,
Like there's Death Stranding, I'll definitely be getting that. Pokemon Sword and Shield, I'll probably be getting that. Well, I'll definitely be getting that. I also want to get that new Zelda game, Link to the Past.
Right.
'Cause
Yeah.
that
So
that comes out this
yeah.
week.
Yeah.
So some cool Switch games I want to get.
The beginning of next year is a lot more interesting than this fall. Beginning of next year, you got like Ori 2, Last of Us Part 2, Neo 2, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Avengers, um, Minecraft Dungeons. It's probably even a few. Cyberpunk 2077. I mean, it definitely seems like, the beginning of next year has more big hitters than the end of this year. But anyways, that's the show, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and the notification bell. Make sure you follow Jez on Twitter for all his thoughts. And we will see you next week. Oh, no, actually, not next week. Jez is not going to... He's going to be on vacation. So maybe I'll do a solo stream, or maybe I'll get a couple other people to do a show with. But, yeah. But make sure you guys wish Jez happy vacation, because he's going to be gone.
Happy vacation.
Happy vacation, Jez. But yeah, with that...
Going to the beach, man. Going to the beach.
Yeah, with that,
Yeah.
we will see you soon. So, later, guys.